Yo, what's going on, you guys? Good to be back. I'm your host, Dennis Sert. I decided to make the podcast into like a real thing. Now it's called the Daily Ledger, and it's going to be sponsored by Byte AI Market Analysis. So I think that's the way I want to organize it. But I'm excited to make this happen. So yeah, so let's just dive right in to what we got today, shall we? We got some news. Um, should take maybe about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll also jump into Byte AI and then make a few trades. So should be fun. Let's do it. Okay. So first thing to discuss this morning is the FOMC meeting. So that's going on today. We talked about this on Monday a little bit, but it's widely expected that um, the Fed is going to reduce the interest rates down to 3.75 to 4%. And that's what this article here from the Wall Street Journal is talking about. But personally, I think that there may be a chance that the Fed is going to throw a fast one on us and actually not cut the rates. And the reason behind that is because you see, um, well, we have the government shutdown that's still going on. And that means that the job numbers aren't going to be out, or at least they're not going to be very accurate for the past month. And so, given that, then the Fed may just sort of lean on that and say, "Oh, okay, well, we're not gonna cut rates. We don't know. We don't have transparency into the job market." Yeah, so I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. So we will report on this tomorrow. In other news, President Trump is still in Asia. He wrapped up the Malaysia deal a few days ago. Then he went to Japan. Seems like he struck up a warm relationship with the new prime minister. Um, and now, apparently, in South Korea, they've made a deal between the US and South Korea. So that's kind of cool. But let's take a look at this article here. Trump Xi to discuss lowering China tariffs for fentanyl crackdown. If Beijing takes action to cut export of chemicals that make fentanyl, U.S. would cut in half the 20% fentanyl related levies on Chinese goods. Yep. So based on this article, there's soybeans again. I won't go into it. I won't rehash my little mini rant on soybeans from Monday, but yeah. So basically, what's going on is so China's sort of signaling that they may agree to reducing some of the um, exports of fentanyl ingredients that they send out. From what I understand, they send um, various countries ingredients to create fentanyl. So Mexico and Canada, namely, um, and I guess over there they have labs that create it. So it's not actually China exporting the fentanyl itself, but it's the ingredients. Anyways, so they're signaling that they may agree to sort of cutting the exports of those fentanyl ingredients to these countries in exchange for lower tariffs. And in addition to that, um, It seems like they may be putting their rare earths, so China may be putting their rare earths restriction sort of on hold for about a year. They said that it's basically going to be in review for 1 year, and that also means that, and this is per Scott Bessent, that also means that given that that's the case, the 100% tariff increase that President Trump put on China in response to that would be, quote, off the table. And that's quoting Scott Bessent. Okay. So we love to see that, right? We love to see de escalation. Economic war probably isn't good. So that's probably good. And I guess under the framework, China is expected to commit to significant purchases of American soybeans. Bessent said in a CBS News interview on Sunday, potentially bringing relief to U.S. farmers hit hard by the loss of Chinese buyers this year. Yeah, so it goes on. So there's that. There's that. Let's move on to the next story. So I won't spend too much time here, but what's kind of interesting is that we were sort of talking about this yesterday, and then now I saw this on the front page as the top story on the front page of the New York Times, of the Wall Street Journal. Um, Tens of thousands of white collar jobs are disappearing as AI starts to bite. Layoffs at companies ranging from Amazon to Target are sending young and experienced workers alike into unwelcoming market. The nation's largest employers have a new message for office workers: help not wanted. hmm Yeah, so a lot of this is what we discussed yesterday, but I wanted to sort of talk about this section here. This was kind of interesting. So it seems like Whole Foods, which is owned by Amazon, um, seems like they sent out texts just like this. Let me zoom in here. So they sent out texts just like this to employees saying, please read message from Whole Foods Market. An email about your role was sent to your personal and work email. Review ASAP and stay home from work today. Thank you. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? Like, imagine getting a text like that. A leaner new normal for employment in the US is emerging. Large employers are retrenching, making deep cuts to white collar positions, and leaving fewer opportunities for experienced and new workers who had counted on well paying office work to support families and fund retirements. Nearly 2 million people in the US have been without a job for 27 weeks or more, according to recent federal data. Behind the wave of white collar layoffs, in part, is the embrace of companies of AI, which executives hope can handle more of the work that well compensated white collar workers have been doing. hmm Well, I mean, yes. Well, even before yesterday, but primarily yesterday, we were talking about how the writing was on the wall. I mean, that they're sort of like with this article, they're sort of just like blasting it on a loudspeaker now. So yeah, kind of crazy. Okay, so let's move on to the last article that I want to talk about today in sort of this general news, finance news headlines section of the show. Um, OpenAI's promise to stay in California helped clear the path for its IPO. Company assured state officials on its commitment as it continues its global expansion, which could include a public offering as soon as 2027. Yeah, so as we know, yesterday OpenAI completed its for-profit restructuring. So seems like what happened was, we had the nonprofit OpenAI Foundation, which is still there, and then there's basically the smaller group within that under the oversight of the OpenAI Foundation, the nonprofit called the OpenAI Group PBC, or for profit public benefit corporation. And so that's for profit, and that's under the oversight of the nonprofit. So that's what happened. And looks like I don't have too much of a comment on that. Um, it is what it is. Um, I think there's a lot of advancements in AI, and I think despite what I've said about the job market, I'm not against AI. In fact, I'm very much pro AI. In fact, I'm one of the most pro AI people that you'll come across. Yeah, and maybe I'll talk more about that on a different show. But yeah, so I think what's kind of interesting with this though is that um looks like I mean the fact is there's been a lot of undercurrents that's been going on that, I feel like could have been picked up on and was picked up on X especially, because let's face it, over the past week we've seen a lot of emphasis by Sam Altman on sort of like safety regulations regarding OpenAI. I mean, I have a few here. So, like for instance, um, we have this. This is an article from OpenAI that was actually just released today. It's basically this new, I guess, safeguard model um, having to do with safety classifiers. So, okay, that's cool. Here's this um, X post from Sam on October 14th, a few weeks ago. We made ChatGPT pretty restrictive to make sure we were being careful about mental health issues. So, you know, protecting mental health of maybe more vulnerable users. So there's that post. Another post by Sam Altman on the 15th of October, I guess having to do with sort of I think they're pushing ChatGPT to be uh, perhaps erotica friendly for adult users. So I think that's what this was sort of about. But yeah, in this second paragraph here, he said, as we've said earlier, we're making a decision to prioritize safety over privacy and freedom for teenagers, I guess. And we're not loosening any policies related to mental health. This is a new and powerful technology, and we believe, yeah, okay. So he sort of goes on about the context, but I guess the point again is really, on a very high level, safety, prioritizing safety. Um, I guess it's the last X post I'm gonna say in this line here, but I guess uh, Sam Altman reposted Jason Kwan's, who's an executive at OpenAI, seems like, um, post regarding, I guess, AI safety. One of the greatest opportunities in AI safety and security is a chance to help support the creation of new industry verticals that help maximize the benefits and minimize the risks. Yeah, so he goes on here. So yeah, so why did I display all of that? Um, I mean, it seems pretty clear that between the negotiations between OpenAI and California, regarding the ability to um, basically restructure into a for-profit, um, specifically with California Attorney General Rob Bonta. It seems like one of the biggest things on the table has been AI safety regulations. Seems like that's something that California has been really um, sort of emphasizing and putting a lot of importance into. Um, Yeah, well, I mean, as it should. Um, and so there's that. That's kind of cool. We've been able to pick up on that. Um, I thought one of the biggest things, the biggest takeaways, really, that that we can pull from this article. It's kind of on the nose because that's what the title is kind of nodding at. But um, seems like Altman kind of like he didn't directly threaten to leave California, but seems like he kind of nodded at what Elon Musk did, which is move SpaceX out of California, move X out of California, and now a subsidiary of XAI. It's all in Texas now, and it seems like Sam Altman sort of nodded at the potential of leaving California throughout his um, negotiations with the AG Rob Bonta and the state of California. Yeah, good for him. I tip the cap, to be honest. Good for Sam Altman because I mean you do have to do what you have to do, and um, yeah, I mean that's a card in his hand for sure. So there's that possible IPO in 2027. Should we add that to Byte AI? I kind of want to add OpenAI as a stock in my portfolio. Okay, so that concludes the sort of general finance headlines. This show's brought to you by Byte AI Market Analysis. It's a data aggregation tool for your portfolio, analyzes news sentiment and technical indicators so you can make more informed decisions. Of course, it's not a financial advisor, it's just a data analysis tool. It's a very cool tool, mind you. I really like it. I use it every morning. Um, let's take a look and see what Microsoft is up to here. Microsoft is presenting a cautious underbought setup. The RSI is around 47.8, slightly below baseline, and the price is near the lower Bollinger Band with a relatively narrow bandwidth, indicating a squeeze and a potential mean reversion towards the mid band. Price action today is up 1.98%, and there have been positive weekly and monthly gains, underscoring underlying momentum. Okay, that's cool. So underbought. Yeah, so we saw the RSI. Uh-huh. Almost the same as the lower Bollinger Band. Okay, so it's seems like it's an underbought territory. Bollinger Bands are kind of narrow, though. Let's read some of these articles. How to earn $500 a month from Microsoft stock ahead of the Q1 earnings. Yeah, I got an email about voting in the Microsoft I guess like shareholder elections. So I'll have to cast my vote. Stock market today. Nasdaq futures rise while Dow Jones slips ahead of FOMC decision. Alphabet, Microsoft, Teradine, and Seagate in focus. Recent coverage around Microsoft has been mildly bullish. Analysts anticipate Q1 earnings about $3.66 per share, up from the year ago period, reinforcing a somewhat bullish view ahead of the results. Positive signals from the AI, BI integration, and cloud infrastructure momentum tied to Microsoft add to the upbeat sentiment, while broader market chatter points to the constructive tone for tech as futures show warming sentiment ahead of the FOMC decision. Mhm. Nice. So underbought. Okay, so let me actually jump into Robinhood here. Okay, I guess we're slightly down. Yeah. So I was waiting for a slightly down day to explain this, but by AI, even on down days, so it's not like a guaranteed profit. But even on its down days, it's supposed to minimize the amount of loss you have. So there's that as well. Um okay. So Microsoft. Okay. So let's buy some Microsoft. Nice. Okay, what else is going on? Has Meta or Amazon changed since yesterday? Analysis neutral. Current indicators present a mixed picture for Amazon. The RSI is 58.5, indicating a mild overbought condition. Wow. While MACD sits near the signal line with a slight bearish tilt. The price is near the upper Bollinger Band with a narrow bandwidth, signaling a squeeze and a higher likelihood of mean reversion rather than a durable breakout. New sentiment is cautiously optimistic. hmm Will there be a UPS in 5 years? Apparently, they're using gig workers now. UPS. Yeah, I saw that article this morning. That was kind of interesting. Of course, we talked about it yesterday. Doing some layoffs. Mm, 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 mm. Amazon Q3 preview. Will AWS outage job cuts overshadow earnings growth plans? Yeah, that was pretty gnarly. AWS outage, I guess, for US East 1. Yeah. I'm not in that region for anything I'm doing, but still heard Robinhood went down a little bit. I think X stayed up, but yeah. Amazon, comma UPS slash desk jobs. AI is coming for your manager. Oh, that's kind of funny. Just the wording of the title. AI is coming for your manager. Oh, I guess it's all behind a paywall. Okay. All right, let's do one more. Where's Meta? All right, let's do Meta. Analysis neutral. Current technicals show a balanced setup with no clear catalyst for a directional move. RSI is around 53, not indicating oversold or overbought conditions. New sentiment is broadly neutral, with no meta-specific catalyst, suggesting the stock is likely to drift with overall market tone. hmm RSI is at 52. Yeah, that's pretty close to baseline 50. hmm Okay, that's cool. Alrighty, I think we're gonna end it here. Um, yeah, I didn't have my watermark today. Oh well. Make sure to download Byte AI at byteai.me, byteai.me, and you can do stock analysis not just with me this morning, but anytime you want. It's available as an iOS app. There's also an API. There's also a web app, what I was just on. And yeah. Alrighty, folks. See you tomorrow.